First story. Older son mistakenly cheated with my younger son's girlfriend. Now she is pregnant. So I demanded my younger brother move on, because his pain isn't worth the family being divided, and be happy he is getting a nephew with the same name as him. It ruined my life, and I regret my actions. I 46F have two sons, Daniel 20 and Ryan 19. They're only a year apart, and we're always close growing up. Not always best friends, but they had the kind of sibling bond where they'd fight over video game controllers 1 second and be watching movies together the next. Our house wasn't perfect, but I always felt like we'd raised decent, emotionally aware kids. That's why when all this blew up 2.5 years ago, it absolutely wrecked me. Daniel dated Jasmine 20F from middle school up until their junior year of high school. They were best friends since preschool, and their relationship just naturally grew into more. We honestly thought she was going to be part of our family someday. She was over at our house constantly. We took her on family trips, and she and Daniel talked about marriage in that way that teenagers do, starry-eyed, thinking they'd never hurt each other. I won't pretend I knew the full ins and outs of their relationship. Teenagers keep secrets. But from what I could see, Daniel adored her, and Jasmine seemed just as serious about him. Ryan respected that relationship. That's what we all believed until it turned out he didn't. What Daniel discovered, and I only got the full story much later, was that Jasmine and Ryan had been secretly hooking up behind his back for months. I don't know who made the first move. I don't think it matters anymore. What matters is Daniel found out, and everything shattered. He cut them both off immediately. The rage he felt wasn't just about losing a girlfriend. It was about losing his best friend and his own brother in one blow. He called them disgusting. Told them both they were dead to him. It didn't stop there. He started locking his bedroom door. Some nights he'd be gone until midnight without telling anyone where he was. I wasn't sure if I should be angry, heartbroken, or terrified. Jasmine tried to apologize. She said it was a mistake, that she never meant to hurt Daniel. But a few weeks later, she and Ryan were together officially. That's when it became clear this wasn't just a one-time screw-up. Ryan tried to play it both ways, at first asking Daniel to forgive him, then doubling down when he realized Jasmine wasn't leaving. That made everything worse. Daniel called him pathetic and accused him of trying to rub it in his face. I'm not going to sugarcoat what that year looked like in our house. It was awful. Daniel was full of resentment and grief. Ryan became defensive and cold. They almost fought physically more than once. I remember one night Daniel told Ryan he hoped he and Jasmine ruined each other's lives and never had a happy day again. Ryan threw something across the room. We had to separate them. My husband and I didn't know what to do. We tried being neutral. We told both boys we loved them. We asked Daniel to come to family therapy, which he refused. He said we were picking sides by not kicking Ryan out. But Ryan was barely 17 at the time. We couldn't just throw him out of the house. Eventually Daniel moved out a month after he turned 18. He packed up quietly and told us he couldn't stand living under the same roof as those two. He didn't even say goodbye to Ryan. Since then, he's been firm. No contact with Ryan or Jasmine. No interest. No forgiveness. No exceptions. He doesn't come to family events if he knows they'll be there. Some relatives have tried to host two versions of the same event, one with him, one with them. It's exhausting. Our family has quietly split down the middle. What made things worse was when Ryan and Jasmine got into a bad car accident last spring. My husband and I rushed to the hospital. Daniel didn't even ask how Ryan was. He called once not to check on them, but to make sure we were okay. When I told him Ryan had a concussion and Jasmine had some bruised ribs, he said, "Sounds like they deserved it," and hung up. I won't lie, that moment broke me a little. It felt like Daniel had turned into someone I didn't recognize. He's not cruel, but he's hardened in a way that worries me. He won't even let himself feel pity anymore, as if showing any emotion means giving them power. His cousin tried to talk to him, to mediate something, and Daniel told him flat out not to bother. That the door was closed forever. And now, here we are, Jasmine is pregnant. She and Ryan are expecting a baby boy, due in a few months. And they've told us they want to name the baby after Daniel. I didn't expect that. I don't think Daniel did either. I asked Ryan what the thought process was, and he said it was a tribute. That despite everything, he never stopped loving his brother. That he regrets how things happened, and he wants his son to grow up knowing his uncle, even if they're estranged. I'm not naive. I know part of this is them trying to extend an olive branch. Maybe they thought it would thaw things. Maybe they thought it would appeal to Daniel's emotions. But if that was the plan, it didn't work. Daniel said they could name their kid whatever they wanted, but it wouldn't change anything. He wants nothing to do with them or the baby. He said it was manipulative. That if anything, it made him even less interested in being around them. Naming your kid after the person you backstabbed isn't sweet. It's creepy. Now other family members are weighing in. Some are furious at Daniel. Others think Ryan and Jasmine are pushing too hard. A few cousins told me Daniel's behavior is disgusting, and that he needs to grow up. That he's punishing a baby for something he had no part in. They say it's just high school drama, that people make mistakes, and that Ryan's still his only brother. Others, mostly Daniel's side of the family, say he has every right to cut them out forever. They say naming the baby after him is a guilt tactic. That it's insulting to expect him to play uncle to the child of the two people who hurt him most. As his mother, I'm torn. I understand his pain. But I also feel like enough time has passed. People heal. People grow. Daniel is still carrying this rage like it just happened last week. It's been 3 years. And now there's a baby on the way. A baby that didn't ask for any of this. And yes, Daniel didn't either. But when does it stop? How long does he stay stuck in that moment from when he was 17? After the name announcement, Daniel sent a message to me and his dad, basically saying, "You do what you want, but don't bring me into it. If you refer to that baby by my name when I'm around, I won't show up. If you push this any further, I'm cutting more people off." That wasn't a bluff. A week later, my sister invited both Daniel and Ryan to her daughter's birthday. She hoped it would be a quiet, outdoor thing, that maybe the space would let everyone breathe. She didn't tell Daniel that Ryan and Jasmine were invited to her mistake. She admits it. Daniel showed up, saw them there, and left within 2 minutes. He hasn't spoken to my sister since. She was in tears afterwards. He won't answer her calls. I've asked Daniel before what it would take for him to even speak to Ryan again. He told me the only thing Ryan could ever do to make things right would be to disappear. That Ryan made his life a joke. That he stole the person Daniel trusted most and expected a pat on the back for being in love. He said Jasmine was the closest thing he had to family outside of us, and that she turned around and gave herself to the one person who should have been off limits forever. He also told me that when I stay neutral, I'm enabling the people who betrayed him. That hurts to hear. Because I wasn't neutral back then. I told Ryan to his face that what he did was beyond wrong. I begged Jasmine to think about the damage she was doing. But what was I supposed to do when they didn't break up? When they said they were serious and staying together? Throw them both out? Never speak to my younger son again? People keep saying this is high school drama. I get why that bothers Daniel, because it wasn't a stupid one-time thing. It was two people who meant everything to him choosing each other behind his back, then trying to call it love and asking him to be happy for them. There's one thing I haven't mentioned yet, and maybe it's relevant. 6 months before Daniel found out about the affair, there was an incident at a party. Jasmine was drunk and had to be picked up early. Daniel couldn't make it because he was out of town with my husband. Ryan ended up being the one to get her. The next day, Daniel mentioned that she seemed off distant. He asked me if I thought she was okay. I told him it was probably just a bad night. Looking back, I wonder if that night was when something started. Or if it had already started, and that was just one of the many moments that could have been a red flag. Daniel once told me that the worst part wasn't the cheating, it was knowing that while she was kissing him, texting him goodnight, and making him playlists, she was sleeping with his brother. That she sat across the dinner table smiling at all of us while lying to him daily. That Ryan laughed with him about stupid movies while sneaking off to see Jasmine behind his back. It broke something in him. I see that now. Not just trust, but something deeper. And still, part of me wonders how long we're supposed to live like this. Ryan and Jasmine are trying to build a life. They have a small apartment now. Ryan's working full-time, and Jasmine's doing part-time college while pregnant. They're not playing house. They're actually making it work. The baby is due in 2 months. They had a baby shower last week. Daniel refused to come. I didn't push. But afterwards, I told him that this child is coming whether he likes it or not. That one day, the boy might ask, "Why don't I have an Uncle Daniel?" And what do I say then? That Daniel wished his parents were miserable and never wanted to meet him. I said maybe it was time to find a different way to carry the pain. Maybe he didn't have to forgive, but he didn't have to punish the baby either. He told me, word for word, "Stop calling it punishment." I didn't ask to be made part of their story. I didn't give permission for my name to be used. They can live whatever life they want. I want no part in it. Now I'm stuck. Family members are split. My husband is quiet, he wants peace, but he doesn't know how to ask for it without upsetting Daniel. My mother thinks Daniel is acting like a child. My sister is still hurt that he cut her off over one event. A cousin who stays in touch with both boys told me that Jasmine is trying, that she still cries over losing Daniel as a friend, even after all this time. I don't know if that's guilt, regret, or just nostalgia. But I do believe she cared about him once. Maybe still does. Just not in the right way. Daniel has a few family members firmly in his corner. One aunt told me I was emotionally manipulating Daniel by asking him to consider the baby. That I was forcing him to relive his trauma for the sake of appearances. That if I really supported him, I'd cut off Ryan and Jasmine too. I don't agree. But I also don't want to be blind. This is where I'm stuck. Do I keep hoping Daniel comes around that maybe once the baby is born, holding his nephew might soften something? Or do I finally accept that this relationship is broken for good, and trying to fix it will only push Daniel further away? It's hard to explain to people what it feels like watching your kids become strangers. To feel like any step towards one is seen as betrayal of the other. To dread every holiday. To walk on. Well, you know. So I'll ask the internet. Ada for wanting Daniel to move forward. Be civil with Ryan and Jasmine. And at least acknowledge the baby. For thinking enough time has passed that this doesn't have to define their whole lives. Or am I crossing the line by hoping he'll one day choose family again, even if it's messy, complicated, and not the one he wanted? Comments. Comment 1. Daniel got hit twice with the same betrayal. Once from his girlfriend, once from his brother. That's not a love triangle. That's a mind F. And now they're naming their kid after him. I don't care how sweet anyone spins it, that's messed up. Feels like guilt wrapped in a bow. You don't spend years ignoring someone's pain, then toss them a name tag and expect them to show up with a smile. I get why you want peace, but there's a difference between peace and pretending. Daniel doesn't owe them fake smiles for family photo ops, just because there's a baby now. That baby isn't a clean slate. It's the result of the same relationship that gutted him. Let him stay gone, if that's what keeps him sane. It's not anger anymore, it's boundaries he built because no one else protected him when it counted. You want him back in the fold, but the fold crushed him. So yeah, stop asking him to make this okay. Let the ones who F-ed it up be the ones to carry it. Comment 2. The name thing is going to be a disaster. It won't bring anyone closer, it'll just make that kid a constant reminder of everything Daniel wants to forget. Every time someone says the baby's name, it's going to feel like a slap. You said he's bitter. I think you're the bitter one, bitter that Daniel won't play along with the fake happy family act. Your post has this tone like, well, it's been long enough. Long enough for whom? Certainly not for him. Cheating isn't something people just get over, especially when it's with your own brother and your best friend. Age doesn't make it less real. It was real. It mattered. Stop treating it like it was some silly high school drama. That kind of betrayal carves deep. Trying to tie a baby to Daniel's name like it'll guilt him into forgiving everyone. That's manipulative as hell. The worst part is that poor kid's going to grow up in the middle of a Cold War. You're not preparing for that. You're just hoping Daniel caves. He didn't cause this rift. He just refused to lie about how deep it went. And good for him. Comment 3. I think this isn't just about the betrayal. It's about how the aftermath played out. Daniel went through hell and had to watch the two people who hurt him the most get family support, understanding, and now a effing nursery full of baby gifts. Meanwhile, he's treated like the bitter one for not clapping. I'd be pissed too. But I also think he's letting this define too much of his life. I'm not saying he needs to forgive or go to the baby shower. But staying in this level of freeze mode forever, that's not strength, that's rot. Ryan's a SH that, no doubt. Jasmine too. But Daniel's the only one stuck in place. Everyone else has moved, maybe in ways that suck. But they've moved. Daniel's frozen at 17. I don't think you're wrong for hoping he softens. But you're walking a razor line here. Keep pushing, and he'll cut you off too. Maybe let him choose his own timing or none at all. That might be the only thing he still has control over. Comment 4. It blows my mind how casually people in your family are treating this. Naming the baby after Daniel is cruel. Straight up cruel. You don't betray someone like that, burn every bridge, ignore their pain, and then slap their name on your kid like it's some grand gesture. It's not sweet, it's sick. It's rewriting history. And you say it like it's some emotional gift. He never stopped loving his brother. Please. If Ryan loved his brother, he wouldn't have screwed his girlfriend. Jasmine wouldn't have sat at your dinner table lying to everyone. Don't insult Daniel by calling this love. He's not punishing the baby. The baby's just the unfortunate result of two people who blew up someone's world. That kid's gonna grow up asking why Uncle Daniel doesn't talk to him, and that's not Daniel's fault. That's yours. That's Ryan's. That's Jasmine's. You keep saying Daniel's holding on to anger, but the smug entitlement in your post says a lot. Maybe check whose pain you've minimized, and whose feelings you're protecting. He's not the one causing the damage by staying away, you are, by trying to pretend it's all fine now. Update. A lot has happened since my last post, so I wanted to follow up. Maybe it won't change anyone's mind, but I need to say it. The baby was born a few weeks ago. Healthy, beautiful boy. That part is good. I've been helping Jasmine and Ryan out when I can, dropping off meals, watching the baby while Jasmine naps or takes a walk, and giving her space when she asks for it. She's exhausted, understandably. New baby, healing body, small apartment, Ryan being Ryan. The name. Well, we've hit a new chapter in the saga. So originally, like I said in the first post, they planned to name the baby after Daniel. It was supposed to be a gesture, a way to reconnect. Ryan was the one most insistent on that. Jasmine didn't say much about it at the time. She was late into the pregnancy when they told us, and she just smiled and nodded while Ryan did most of the talking. I assumed she was on board. Turns out she wasn't. She told me privately, after the baby was born, that she was never okay with the name. Said she went along with it because she was tired of the arguments and wanted the fighting with Ryan to stop. Apparently, they've been clashing about this for months. He insisted on the name, she pushed back, and he kept using Daniel's past with her as the reason it mattered. Jasmine finally snapped when they got home from the hospital. She told him she had no regrets, she was done begging for forgiveness, and she was not naming her son after her ex, period. She picked a new name from her side of the family and started calling the baby that. When Ryan pushed back, she said he could deal with his guilt however he wanted, but he wasn't going to dump it on her and the baby anymore. Ryan told me she's not thinking clearly and chalked it up to postpartum stress. He's convinced she'll come around. But from what I've seen, she's been clear and firm every time it comes up. She's been correcting people when they use the original name. She updated the hospital paperwork before they filed the birth certificate. Ryan didn't even realize until he saw the copy a week later. That led to a massive fight. Apparently, he took it to mean she's trying to erase the gesture. I think she just never wanted it in the first place. Jasmine's been cold about it, honestly. Not mean, just done. She told me. This name was never about honoring Daniel. It was about trying to force him back into Ryan's life, and it was never going to work. I didn't say much. I disagreed, but I didn't push. I've seen what pushing does with her. It backfires. Ryan's upset, obviously. He says she blindsided him. He still uses Daniel's name when he talks about the baby. It's awkward. He'll say, Daniel Jr. had his first smile, and Jasmine won't even look up. She corrects him once, and if he says it again, she leaves the room. So here we are. The baby is here. He's not named after Daniel. And Daniel still wants nothing to do with any of us. That part hasn't changed. I did try to reach out after the birth. I sent Daniel a photo of the baby wrapped in a blue blanket I knitted and a card with just his name and birth date. No note. I didn't want it to be emotional. Just information. He texted back one word. Delete. I didn't push further. I did, however, make a bad call a few days later. It was Daniel's birthday, and I thought, maybe this time I could try something a little more human. No tricks. I invited him over for dinner. Said it would just be the immediate family. I didn't lie. I just didn't say that Ryan and Jasmine would be there too, but only at the end, with the baby. I figured, if the first part of the night went well, maybe seeing the baby might spark something. It didn't. Daniel walked in, saw the car seat on the floor, looked at me, and said, You really can't stop, can you? He turned around and left. I haven't heard from him since. My sister thinks I'm being manipulative. My husband's staying out of it, as usual. A few of my cousins told me I should leave Daniel alone entirely. But others, mostly older relatives, think he's being cruel. That he should at least meet the baby. That it's childish to hold a grudge this long. I'm caught in the middle again. What makes it harder is the fact that even within Ryan and Jasmine's relationship, this whole situation is still causing damage. I don't think either of them is fully over what happened. Ryan clearly hasn't processed how much Jasmine doesn't want to carry the shame anymore. Jasmine clearly resents Ryan for dragging Daniel's name into her child's life. And now there's a wedge growing between them that wasn't there before. It's like the baby's name became the last straw in a fight they've been having silently for a long time. I told Ryan he should focus on his family, the one he's built now, and stop chasing the brother who doesn't want to be found. He told me he can't just turn that switch off. That he misses Daniel more now than he did right after the fallout. I believe him. But missing someone doesn't mean they'll come back. I also told Jasmine that while I don't agree with how she went about the name change, I understand the frustration. She doesn't want to be trapped in an old story. She wants to raise her child without having to constantly explain why he's named after the man who won't speak to either of his parents. It's messy. She wants clean. And I respect that. I just wish she'd spoken up sooner. Before it turned into another fracture. As for me, I'm not sorry I want this family whole again. I'm not sorry I thought naming the baby after Daniel could have been healing. And I'm not sorry I tried. Even if people think it was manipulative or passive-aggressive or selfish. Maybe it was. But I'm a mum. I've got 2 sons who haven't spoken in years. I've got a grandson who may grow up never knowing his uncle. And I'm the only one still trying to make something out of the mess. So I'll ask again. Ada, for not giving up on reconciliation, even if nobody supports me. And even if I keep making mistakes trying to get there. For wanting Daniel to be part of this child's life. Even if Jasmine and Ryan are flawed. Even if the name was a bad idea. Even if it didn't fix anything. Because I still believe family matters. Even when it's broken. Especially then. Comments. Comment 1. This whole thing's like watching a group project where one person screws up and the others expect the quiet kid to still turn in the work. Ryan F'd over his brother, moved on with the girl, and now wants the emotional closure gift wrapped through a baby. Jasmine's move was messy but honest. She's over it. She knows naming that kid after Daniel was a mistake, and probably felt like she was being used as a chess piece in Ryan's guilt spiral. You should be pissed at Ryan, not Daniel. And no, you're not doing something noble. You're doing something selfish. You're tired of the tension. You want the family scenes back. I get that. But this whole thing where you keep throwing Daniel at the fire and acting shocked he doesn't want to burn is insane. The name thing. Disaster. The birthday trap. Dumb. That photocard stunt. Guilt in a bow. Stop pushing him towards something that cost him everything. He owes that baby nothing. Raise the kid with love and honesty, and stop dragging the past into his crib. Comment 2. I don't think Daniel hates the baby. I think he hates that this child is being used like a rope in a tug of war no one asked for. You tried to make a clean narrative out of a dirty situation. We all make mistakes, but look, a baby, let's heal. Except Daniel was never consulted, just guilt-tripped, ignored, and baited. That card you sent wasn't neutral. That dinner invite wasn't innocent. Every move you made was loaded. Also, Jasmine turning around wasn't sudden. That's a slow burn finally lit. She's been stewing over Ryan's obsession with Daniel for months. You think it's about the name, but it's bigger. She's realizing she's in a relationship with a man who never emotionally left the fight he started. That tension is going to bleed into their parenting whether you want to admit it or not. Daniel isn't the one tearing things apart. He just walked away, that's all. The rest of you keep dragging him back into a memory he buried, and the more you do that, the more likely it is he's gone for good. Let him go. Stop building family around someone who wants peace through distance. Let that be enough. Comment 3. Jasmine didn't just change the baby's name, she flipped the entire narrative. She's done carrying Ryan's guilt and definitely done playing the role of the bridge to Daniel. That alone should have made you pause. Instead, you doubled down with the birthday stunt. What's wild is you keep saying family matters, but you're watching one already falling apart in real time. Jasmine and Ryan are cracking, and they haven't even made it past month 1. The name fight isn't just about Daniel, it's about how little they agree on anything deeper. If Ryan still thinks naming the kid after the guy he betrayed is a good idea, he's clearly not focused on parenting. He's still stuck on image and redemption. And you're helping keep that fantasy alive. You want a happy photo with both your sons and this baby and think it'll patch years of rot. It won't. Daniel's absence isn't the problem here. It's the only honest thing in this whole mess. At some point, you're going to have to face the fact that your sons may never share a table again. Forcing it might just make sure they never even share a hallway. Update. This is probably my last update. There's not much left to say, and I doubt anyone here will be on my side after this. But maybe writing it out will help me understand how it all fell apart this badly. A few months ago, everything finally tipped. Ryan cheated. Again. This time it wasn't a misunderstanding or some old text Jasmine found. It was real, recent, and sloppy. She caught him messaging 2 different women, one of whom he actually met up with, while she was at her mother's place with the baby. He didn't even deny it. Just said he'd been frustrated and needed an escape. She kicked him out that night. He came to our house at 2 a.m. with a backpack and a trash bag full of baby clothes he didn't even fold properly. He said he didn't know where else to go. I let him in, obviously. I'm his mother. I still see that little boy in him, even now. My husband. He wasn't having it. Told Ryan he wasn't welcome anymore, that he's made every room he walks into worse. And he's done cleaning up after him. They got into it in the kitchen. No fists, but it was bad. Real bad. Ryan went to bed in the guest room that night. I stayed up arguing with my husband. 2 days later, my husband asked me to make a choice. He didn't say it like that exactly, but it was clear. He wanted Ryan out. Said we've spent too long catering to the worst instincts in him, and he wasn't going to live in a house where someone like that was protected. I asked him if he was willing to throw away 30 years of marriage over this. He said he didn't throw anything, that I just kept picking the wrong side, and eventually the sides became walls. So I left. packed a few bags, and told Ryan we'd figure it out together. We found a short-term rental with my help. I covered the deposit. He said he'd get back on his feet. He hasn't. He hasn't got a job. He hasn't cleaned a dish in 2 months. He sleeps half the day and complains the other half. When I ask him to help with anything, he tells me I didn't exactly walk into this blind. I'm not proud of this next part. I tried to talk to Jasmine. Asked her to reconsider the custody filing not for Ryan, but for the baby. Said every kid deserves 2 parents. She hung up. A week later, I got a lawyer's letter saying I was not to contact her again regarding custody, co-parenting, or Ryan. She's serious this time. Ryan didn't care. He laughed when I told him about the letter. Said she was always dramatic, and that she'd find someone else to obsess over soon enough. He was right about that part. I found out through a cousin that Jasmine's dating someone new. He works at the same college where she's finishing her classes. Apparently kind, steady, and already good with the baby. I don't know his name. Don't want to. That stung more than I expected. Not because I want her back with Ryan, that ship is sunk, but because she's building something, and she's not looking back. She doesn't want to include any part of what we were. That hurt. Then came Daniel. I hadn't heard much from him since the birthday dinner incident, which I admitted in the last update didn't go well. But I kept hoping. I sent a message when the baby turned 6 months. No reply. I sent another when Ryan moved in with me. No reply. Then one day, I ran into Daniel's girlfriend at the store. She's polite, reserved, and clearly has no time for my version of things. I asked how Daniel was doing. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "He's good. And he doesn't need you dragging him back into a mess he already walked out of." I told her I didn't come looking for drama. That I was just asking. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cause a scene. But she said one thing before walking away that stuck with me. "Your obsession with making everything okay is exactly why it never was." A week later, Daniel sent me one message. Just a screenshot of a wedding invitation. The date is next spring. My name wasn't on the invite list. Neither was Ryan's. Neither was my husband's. It's not a family event. It's a celebration for the people who stood by him, he said. Not the ones who tried to force him back into pain. He ended the message with a joke, if you can call it that. Said maybe they'll name their first kid after Ryan. Just to keep the cycle going. I don't think I've ever been both angry and humiliated by one sentence before. I didn't respond. My husband hasn't spoken to me directly since I left. He filed for divorce 3 weeks ago. I got the papers last Monday. No dramatic reasons listed. Just irreconcilable differences. That phrase feels so tidy. Nothing about this has been tidy. And now I'm sitting in a quiet apartment with a son who doesn't want to look for work. A grandson I'm not allowed to see. And a family I was ready to give everything for that clearly doesn't want me anymore. I'm not broke. I'm fine financially. I'll probably find a place of my own soon. But none of that matters the way it used to. I spent my whole life thinking love meant holding on tight. Forgiving, fixing, stitching the tears until it looked whole again. Turns out all I did was pull at the seams. Daniel is getting married, and I won't be there. Jasmine is building a new life, and I'm a ghost in it. My husband, the man I built a home with, chose peace over loyalty. And Ryan, the son I gave up everything for, treats me like a housekeeper with a wallet. I don't regret loving my children. But I do regret thinking love was enough to glue broken people together. So I guess I'll ask one last time. Was I really that wrong for fighting for my family? For refusing to give up when everyone else walked away? Or did I just fight for something that was already gone? And I couldn't admit it. Comments. Comment 1. You fought for Ryan like he was some war hero wrongfully accused. The guy wrecked his brother's heart, his relationship, and his kid's stability, and you cheered him on from the sidelines, covering for him, begging others to see his pain. What about the pain he caused? Daniel spent years just trying to breathe without being dragged into another guilt trip. Jasmine carried a baby while being cheated on and still had to hear about family unity from the woman who never defended her once. And that baby? Just another tool you threw at Daniel, hoping to guilt him into pretending. You never protected Daniel. You never supported Jasmine. You supported Ryan, the only one who didn't deserve it. You made everyone else pay for the fact that he kept failing. Now look around. Daniel's building a life that doesn't need you. Jasmine has moved on. Your husband finally had enough. And Ryan. He dumped you the second your money and free rent ran out. What's left? Nothing. And that's exactly what happens when the only thing you care about is saving someone who doesn't want to be saved, especially when you abandoned everyone else to do it. Comment 2. You turned Ryan into your whole identity. He could have burnt your house down, and you'd hand him the matchbook with a hug. He was your golden boy. You watched him cheat, lie, and drag everyone into chaos, and you still kept showing up with open arms, acting like loyalty made you righteous. You never cared about Daniel, not really. Not about his grief, his betrayal, or the years it took to claw his way out of what you and Ryan put him through. You used the baby as bait. You used Jasmine as leverage. You stood on a pile of broken people just to keep Ryan close. And now he's done with you too. Of course he is. He's always been selfish, you just refused to see it. Jasmine cheated first. Fine. But Ryan never stopped. He cheated again with a newborn at home, and still you defended him. Enjoy the silence. You earned it. You gambled your marriage, your family, and a future with your grandson, all for the one person who walked away the second you weren't useful anymore. And Daniel, he's at peace. Something you'll never understand because peace doesn't need a stage. Comment 3. You didn't lose your family all at once. It was death by 1,000 choices. Little ones. Defend Ryan here. Downplay Jasmine's pain there. Push Daniel to just talk again. Then get hurt when he doesn't. You bled everyone dry, one favor at a time. The saddest thing? None of this even worked. Ryan doesn't respect you. Daniel wants nothing from you. Your ex-husband is filing papers just to breathe again. All that loyalty, all that sacrifice, and for what? A son who can't clean a sink or hold a job. And the kicker. You're still asking if you were wrong for trying. As if trying is holy. It's not. Not when it costs everyone else peace. Trying doesn't mean anything when it drags people back into wounds they've already healed from. Daniel isn't cruel. He's free. Jasmine isn't heartless. She's done. Your husband isn't cold. He's exhausted. What you called fighting was just pressure, dressed up as love. You tried to guilt people into closeness. And now you're alone, not because they gave up, but because they gave themselves a chance to live without constant grief. Second story. An entitled coworker stalked and recorded me walking without my cane and claimed I'm not disabled and demanded I stop acting, or she will report me to the boss. But I am disabled. This is weird. So I need to know if I'm crazy for going as far as I did. I have a condition of chronic pain. The way I explain it to people without chronic pain is that if pain were on levels from 1 to 10, normal people are at most at a 2 or 3 from day to day, whereas people with CP are more like at a 6. Like imagine stepping on a Lego or hitting your funny bone. That's a very brief, but excruciating 8. It's like if you pulled a muscle, and so there's pain and discomfort if you move it. But pretty much daily. Some days I am higher on the scale. On rare blessed days, I'm more a 4, or, by some miracle, lower. Overall, I am active and operate well. I do own canes, but I only use them on days when I'm 7 or above. Such a day came this past Sunday. On top of my full-time job, I have a part-time one. Due to being physically and legally disabled, I had all the paperwork already filed with my job in case I ever needed accommodations. I have a handicap marker on my license plate, and the placard on my rearview mirror and the works. I was recently moved to a location closer to my home. I love my new team. My boss Amy is really great. My colleague Casey and I get along okay. But we're in the same position as assistant coordinators to Amy. The reason I was moved to that location was that it expanded, and they needed more hands, so they added me. Casey has wanted a promotion for a long time, and everyone knows it. I was pretty open that I don't. Lol, any promotion from my position would be full-time, and I already have a full-time job. I do this job to pad my savings, and because I frankly like the job. Being busy also helps with my anxiety. I mean, Casey works hard, but she also likes to talk over me or rush to take charge of something before I can, when I clearly was getting to it. She then announces it. Oh, I handled that for you, OP. Don't worry. And at first I was annoyed, but over time I was like, all right then, but you didn't have to. I talked to Amy about this. I want to pull my weight, but it can be challenging and redundant when Casey is racing to beat me to it. The point was for us to split tasks evenly. Amy said she would talk to her, and I don't know what came of that. But things didn't really change much, so I just accepted it. So when I came in Monday with my cane, everyone had questions. I emailed Amy Sunday night so she knew, but I tend to be private. So what I told everyone else was that I have a condition, and sometimes I need a cane, but not always. Amy accommodated me. She assigned me tasks that required little to no movement. I was very grateful and got everything done pretty early. So I called over the radio to ask if there was anything else I could do. Casey said no, she's got it. So I just handled admin stuff that's usually on the back burner. Literally replied with, okay, I'll tackle the admin list then, and Casey said, no, she's got it. But Amy followed that with a thank you to me and confirmation that this would be helpful. I still needed my cane yesterday Tuesday, and it was similar. I completed most of the admin to DOS, and Amy was so relieved to have it done. She thanked me for coming in and doing all that instead of calling out. Casey made a comment that she could have helped, but I said that's okay and thanked her for handling the more physical tasks. We ended up walking to the parking lot together, and she asked which car was mine, so I pointed at it. Then she said, "So I know you're not disabled, by the way." And I asked what she meant. She just repeated herself and said, "So no cane tomorrow, okay? I won't tell. Just no cane tomorrow." I stood there like, what the F? But I was meeting my best friend and just left to make it on time. I met my BFF Joy at the bar, and we had a wonderful time. I brought my cane, but TBH, I didn't always use it. For example, I didn't use it to walk from my table to the bar to request another drink, or when I got up to hug Joy goodbye. Today, when I woke up, my pain was higher than normal, so I took my cane along. I texted Amy that I have my cane, but I'm doing okay in small bursts, so put me in, Coach lol. I was having a good time at my main job and didn't give Casey a thought. I arrived at my part-time job, and Casey saw my cane and went red. I mean, like, the way I looked when the Eagles lost to the 49ers lol, just super mad. I greeted everyone, and she ignored me completely. We got our assignments, and she snidely said to me, "Well, can you handle that with your cane and all?" In a tone that even made Amy turn to look at her like, WTF. I said I can manage and thanked her for her concern, and we went about our work. Once again, she raced to beat me to things, saying over the radio, "Don't strain yourself, up. I did X task or got Y done." I was so confused until about an hour ago when we finished work. She again walked with me to the parking lot, but this time showed me a video. It was me. It was me at the bar last night with Joy. I was just like, why do you have a video of me? That's weird. She says it's proof. I asked, of what? And she said it's proof I'm not disabled, as I acted so wounded all day at work, but suddenly didn't need my cane at a bar. What? I wanted to explain that that's just not how CP works. Like, yes, I can stand up to hug my friend or get up and walk 3 strides to order a new drink. But I can't, for example, lean over and organize a bottom drawer without a chair to sit in. I wanted to explain that CP is just an umbrella, and under it are a myriad of experiences and abilities, and that honestly, if she had left my tasks alone, I'd have done them. She didn't give me the chance and said, "No cane tomorrow. I'm serious, or I'm going to Chad. Chad is Amy's boss." I said, "About what?" But she was already walking away from me and just got in her car. It's just weird. And oddly, Chad would know this is BS because his boyfriend has CP too. I'm not so much worried about being found out or anything, but it's just weird. And I'm literally typing an email to Amy, CCing Chad, about this weird behavior because it's just odd. Am I crazy to want to preemptively explain this? I am anxious and paranoid in general, so I don't want to overreact or make things worse. Edit. I sent the email, and also, thanks for letting me know I'm not crazy for feeling weirded out. I also texted Amy and Chad. Edit 2. Jesus Chrysler driving Christ, that's a lot of notifications. I'll edit to try to reply to all here, because there isn't enough coffee in the world. It's morning, and I'm still about at a 7, and it's cold today, so even if I didn't want to bring my cane, I would have to. I texted ahead so Amy can start thinking about tasks today. For some common themes I've noticed, yeah, my pain scale Lego idea wasn't on scale. Stepping on a Lego was the funniest thing I could think of that hurts, so I wanted to paint a picture. I wasn't making a clinical pain chart lol. Feel free to use your own theater of the mind scenarios to help people without chronic pain have an idea of what it's like. Also, I don't understand the vague, "Don't use the term CP" comment, sorry. In this post it means chronic pain. It's within that context. Sorry, but I just don't get the issue here or why it's upsetting. I don't know. Amy and Chad have both responded, so we will see how today goes. Anyway, this was my first break in my FT job, so I have to get back to it. Comments. Commenter 1. Time for a chat with your supervisor and/or HR. Make sure you bring the receipts. OP. The problem is that I don't have anything other than what others have seen about her taking over my tasks. We were alone both times she confronted me in the parking lot, and she showed me the video on her phone. Commenter 2. This is actually insane behavior because what? Did we not learn about invisible disabilities? Or people who only need a wheelchair cane sometimes and are ambulatory users? This is actually insane work. Who says that to someone? Especially when you've got the documentation to prove it. Nor OP. I hope you make a fool out of them because this is actually insane. I don't know much about legal stuff, but this seems like enough to take to HR if you have one. Seriously, what is Casey on? OP, thank you. I was really worried that my past trauma was causing me to blow this out of proportion. So I was on the fence about it. Like maybe I'm just out of touch here. Commenter 3. What the F? Nor you're underreacting. Info. How old are you both? And what's the job? OP. I'm 34, and she's 29. The job is really specific, but it has to do with the public school system. We have a lot to do with kids who struggle with specific subjects, and help them in a way a tutor would, but in a more fun way, if that makes sense. Commenter 4. Nor if anything, you're underreacting to your coworker creating a hostile work environment. Does your workplace have an HR department? OP, not really. HR issues are run through Chad's boss, who is also basically the second in command of the entire org. Commenter 5. She followed you to a bar to film you like a stalker. Let that sink in. You need to go to Amy and Chad not to preemptively explain your situation, but because a coworker is so obsessed with your personal medical details, she is stalking you, threatening to jeopardize your job, and demanding you don't use a mobility aid that you have proper documentation for, that is, a legal handicap placard. Nor. Update. I was asked a lot to update when I got off work, so here it is. Today was weirdly quiet, which almost made it worse. Not sure what everyone knows, but they at least know something's up. I wasn't even in the same area as Casey during check-in, and I have no clue when she actually arrived. I usually see her, as our shifts are the same hours. Turns out she'd been assigned to the back office doing other tasks, hours reduced. While I was put at the admin booth at the entrance handling paperwork and spreadsheets, they definitely took advantage of me because I'm good at it. So we didn't cross paths at all at first. I actually turned on a voice recorder app as soon as I got to work, just in case. I also added a shortcut on my phone so I can start recording quickly if I need to, just in case. I didn't want to be caught off guard like before. I did feel a little silly doing it, but I'd rather feel silly than unprepared, you know? I didn't see Casey until near the end of the shift, and even then it was barely a glimpse. She looked up, saw me, and immediately turned away, like full-on avoidance. It made my stomach drop. I just turned away and minded my business. Amy was very reassuring, but also vague at first. I didn't like that, and I think my face said so. And she said she doesn't like all the red tape and such either, but to be patient because they need to go through all the right channels and steps. Amy let me go home early, but she told me to log my full hours anyway, and made it clear she and Chad are actively talking about this and taking it seriously. And I am almost certain she and he had been texting the whole shift. She also walked me to my car and said that will continue for now until everything is resolved. About an hour after my shift ended, I got an email from her, Chad CC'd, saying that tomorrow, Friday, Casey will be assigned to admin duty in the back office, unless something changes before the shift, and that we should not be interacting at all. It's a long weekend, so I figure all the behind-the-scenes stuff will be happening then. I also found out that Casey already presented her evidence. That includes the video she showed me before and another video from yesterday, Wednesday. Apparently, she filmed me at a local winery during Wine Wednesday. There's a clip of me getting up to grab a bottle a few steps away. And later another clip of me standing up and doing a small little celebratory dance after a tabletop game win. That's the part that really messed with my head, because, hold on, when did she start recording me? For how long? I mean, I could maybe believe coincidence once, like, okay, lightning struck, and it's weird. Same town, same general area, blah blah blah. But twice, 2 different days, 2 different places. That's when it stopped feeling like my paranoia getting the best of me and started feeling unsettling. I'm honestly starting to wonder if this is something that might need police involvement, as some comments suggested. And I hate that my brain even went there. But I mean, what other options are there right now? I'm typing this from a bar right now, but not the same one as before, thank God. It is still local to the school teachers come here a lot. And it's Thirsty Thursday, so there's a bigger happy hour discount if you show your school ID. Joy is with me, and a couple other friends are on their way. Joy had been here during my shift in case I needed any backup fast. That said, my head is absolutely on a swivel. So is Joy's. I don't feel relaxed the way I normally would. I keep scanning the room without meaning to. And when people get too close to me or stand in any way facing me, I look up to see if it's her. It's effing weird. I'm still trying to process all of this. And honestly, I'm confused more than anything. I keep going back and forth between, maybe this is nothing, and this doesn't feel normal. Right now, I'm just documenting everything and doing what HR tells me to do. But I don't like how small and watched this situation is starting to feel. And I hate that I'm recording every moment I can in case she pops up. If nothing else, I'm safe tonight and will be staying at Joy's. I'm not alone, and work has made sure we're separated for now. I guess we'll see what tomorrow brings. So unless something crazy happens, I won't be updating until this is resolved. Wish me luck. Edit. I just replied to a follow-up email answering some recurring questions HR asked. My answers all ended up centered around I have never directly or indirectly invited Casey out anywhere. We are not friends outside of work, and have never socialized one-on-one. I was also asked whether I feel safe at work. Right now, yes, because management has taken steps to separate us, and has been present and supportive. I've yet to be alone at all at work. I'm continuing to follow their guidance and document everything as instructed. I'll update if anything materially changes. But for now, I'm letting HR handle it outside of making a non-emergency police report in the morning. Top comment. Commenter. She sounds more unhinged than originally thought based on the fact she's filmed you multiple times and refusing to understand that disabilities are on a spectrum, especially with chronic pain. It doesn't mean you're incapacitated all the time or all tasks are equally difficult. Keep us updated on what comes down the line as far as disciplinary actions by HR for her. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.